Welcome back to Car Nexus. Alright, so if you are even slightly into SUVs, this one is hard not to get excited about. The 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser is shaping up to be a really interesting chapter in the Land Cruiser story, and honestly, it feels like Toyota is trying to balance old-school toughness with what modern buyers actually want today. First off, let's talk about the overall vibe of the new Land Cruiser. The moment you see it, you can tell Toyota leaned into that classic boxy look. It feels upright, confident, and purposeful. This is not one of those SUVs that looks like it is trying too hard to be sporty. It looks like it is built to go places. The front end is bold without being flashy, with a wide grille and squared-off headlights that give it a tough, no-nonsense face. From the side, you get those straight lines and strong shoulders that remind you why the Land Cruiser has always been associated with durability. It feels like a respectful nod to the older models, especially the ones people still swear by decades later. What makes it even better is that this design is not just for show. The proportions look right for off-road use. Shorter overhangs, a tall stance, and plenty of ground clearance. You can tell Toyota designed this with trails, rocks, and rough roads in mind, not just city parking lots. Now, the big talking point for the 2026 Land Cruiser is the engine setup, and this is where things really move into the modern era. Toyota is going all in on a hybrid system, and honestly, it makes sense. Instead of chasing massive horsepower numbers just for bragging rights, the focus here is usable power and efficiency. The hybrid setup delivers strong low-end pull, which is exactly what you want when climbing steep trails or crawling over obstacles. It feels smooth, responsive, and surprisingly refined for something that is still very much an off-road focused SUV. The best part is that you are getting better fuel efficiency compared to the older V8 powered Land Cruisers. That alone is a huge win for daily driving. You still get plenty of power when you need it, but you are not constantly watching the fuel gauge drop every time you take it out. For a lot of people, this makes the Land Cruiser feel more realistic to own and drive every day, not just on weekend adventures. Of course, a Land Cruiser would not be a Land Cruiser without serious off-road capability, and Toyota clearly did not forget that. The 2026 model comes with a proper four-wheel drive system that is built for tough conditions. You have features that help manage traction automatically, so whether you are on sand, mud, snow, or rocks, the SUV adjusts itself to keep moving forward. There is also a low range mode that gives you better control at slow speeds, which is perfect for technical trails. Toyota has also worked on improving the suspension, so you get better articulation and a smoother ride over uneven surfaces. What is impressive is how comfortable it still feels on normal roads. It does not feel harsh or tiring to drive, which has always been a challenge with hardcore off-road vehicles. This new Land Cruiser feels like it can handle a long highway drive just as confidently as a rocky trail. Step inside, and this is where you really see how much the Land Cruiser has evolved. The interior feels modern, clean, and thoughtfully designed. Everything looks solid and well put together, which is exactly what you expect from Toyota. The dashboard layout is simple and easy to understand, with physical buttons where they matter. That is a small detail, but it makes a big difference when you're driving or wearing gloves off-road. The infotainment system is larger and more responsive than before, with a clear display that works well for navigation and media. It supports all the features people expect now, like smartphone connectivity, without feeling overly complicated. The digital driver display is also clean and informative, giving you important info at a glance without overwhelming you. Comfort has definitely been upgraded too. The seats are supportive and designed for long drives, whether you are commuting or heading out on a road trip. There is plenty of space for passengers, and the overall cabin feels airy and practical. Storage is well thought out, with enough room for gear, bags, and all the little things you carry on adventures. When it comes to safety, Toyota has packed the 2026 Land Cruiser with modern driver assistance features. Things like adaptive cruise control, lane support, and emergency braking are all part of the package. These features do not get in the way, but they are there to make daily driving more relaxed and safer. It is nice to see Toyota keeping the Land Cruiser tough while still bringing it up to modern safety standards.
Now let's talk about pricing, because this is another area where the 2026 Land Cruiser gets interesting. Historically, the Land Cruiser has always been on the expensive side, often putting it out of reach for many buyers. This new generation is expected to be more accessible, especially compared to the previous models. While it is still not going to be cheap, the pricing looks more reasonable for what you are getting. Considering the hybrid tech, off-road capability, and overall build quality, it starts to feel like better value than before. This also positions the Land Cruiser in a slightly different space. It feels like Toyota wants to attract both longtime fans and new buyers who maybe admired the Land Cruiser from a distance, but never seriously considered owning one. With better efficiency, modern tech, and a slightly more approachable price, it suddenly becomes a much more tempting option. When you compare the 2026 Land Cruiser to older models, the difference is pretty clear. The older ones were legendary for their toughness, but they were also heavy, thirsty, and a bit outdated inside. This new version keeps that legendary durability while fixing a lot of the old complaints. It is more efficient, more comfortable, and more in tune with how people actually use their vehicles today. At the same time, it does not feel like Toyota watered it down. This still feels like a real Land Cruiser. It is built on a strong platform, designed to last, and capable of going far beyond what most people will ever ask of it. That balance is not easy to achieve, but from everything we have seen so far, Toyota seems to have nailed it. So overall, the 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser feels like a smart evolution rather than a complete reinvention. It respects its roots while moving forward in all the right ways. If you are someone who loves adventure, wants a reliable SUV, or just appreciates vehicles that are built with purpose, this one is definitely worth keeping an eye on. I am really curious to see how it performs in the real world and how buyers respond once it hits the roads and trails. But on paper, and from what Toyota is showing us so far, the 2026 Land Cruiser looks like it could be one of the most well-rounded versions yet. If you grew up admiring Land Cruisers, or if you are just discovering them now, this new model might be the perfect place to jump in.